A jeep goes off a cliff and two men go with it. No wires. They fall 55 feet, clipping trees on the way down and hit open water. One of them is a 24-year-old from Santiago, doubling Dwayne Johnson on the film The Rundown. The fall wins a Taurus World Stunt Award. 20 years later, the same man is hunting Keanu Reeves through live Paris traffic in John Wick, Chapter 4. In between, Scott Adkins fought him on camera and called it the best fight he had ever done. His name is Marko Zaror, and almost nobody can place it. Between doubling The Rock and hunting John Wick sits 20 years in which everyone who saw him move said the same thing. This man is about to be a star. Everyone who mattered saw it early. The industry still could not work out where he fit. It never happened, and the reason has nothing to do with how he fights. Start with the version most people have already seen. In John Wick, Chapter 4, a tall figure in a dark suit moves through the Osaka Continental with total calm while everything around him breaks. That is Chidi, the second in command to the film's villain, the Marquis. He is the man the Marquis trusts to run the security, command the soldiers, and finish the jobs. And he is the one who wants John Wick for himself. Zaror plays him as a professional who thinks the legend of Wick is a marketing story. In his head, he is the better fighter and the assignment is beneath him. That arrogance sets up the film's most exposed sequence. Chidi chases Wick into the traffic circle around the Arc de Triomphe, and the fight happens inside moving cars. Real vehicles, real speed, real marks to hit. A missed step there does not mean a bad take. It means a car goes through you. Zaror trained for the timing the way a stunt performer trains because for most of his life, that is exactly what he was. He was 44 years old when he filmed it. He is 6'2" and roughly 210 pounds, and he moves that frame with the snap of a Taekwondo competitor, which is what he had been since childhood. The John Wick team noticed. The fight coordinator let him rewrite pieces of his own choreography and fold in his Chilean rhythm, breaking the clean patterns the series is known for. He trades strikes with Reeves across the traffic circle and later up an endless flight of Paris stairs. For a lot of viewers, this was the first time they had ever seen him. For anyone who had followed action cinema for the previous 15 years, it was something closer to a confirmation. The man holding his own against Keanu Reeves at the center of the biggest action franchise of the decade had been operating at that level in plain sight since 2003. He had simply been doing it in films almost no one in the mainstream ever saw. The fight that first proved it carries a name most action fans do respect. In 2010, Scott Adkins made a prison fight film called Undisputed 3: Redemption. Adkins is one of the most respected screen fighters alive, the man behind Boyka, a cult hero to action fans. The film needed a monster for him to face. It found Zaror. He played Raul Quinones, nicknamed Dolor, a Colombian prisoner built like a wall and faster than a wall has any right to be. It was his first American film and the first time he ever spoke English on screen. The final duel between Dolor and Boyka ran across 3 days of shooting. Adkins has since called it the best fight he has ever done on camera, and he has done a great many. Fans who track this genre still rank it among the finest one-on-one fights of the century. Zaror was nominated for a Best Villain award for the role. The choreography came from Larnell Stovall, the direction from Isaac Florentine, the same team that turned Adkins into a legend of direct-to-video action. A performance like that is supposed to convert into leads, agents, and studio money. For Zaror, it converted into a cult favorite and a permanent line on the resume, and then the industry moved on to other faces. Undisputed 3 went straight to video. It built him a devoted following among people who already loved martial arts movies and did almost nothing to move him toward the wider audience that turns a fighter into a name. The clearest reason why sits in a choice he made years earlier, at the moment Hollywood first opened its door. He walked back out of it on purpose. The training came before everything. Zaror started teaching himself martial arts at the age of 6 in a part of Chile with no dojo to walk into. His mother, Gina Aguad, had been the first woman in the country to earn a black belt in karate. The discipline was in the house before he could spell it. He built his own workouts, copied Bruce Lee frame by frame, and kept going long after the novelty wore off. By his late teens, he had stacked disciplines most fighters never touch in one lifetime. A Taekwondo and kickboxing base, black belts in Judo and Aikido, work in Wing Chun, boxing, wrestling, and acrobatics. He was a gifted enough all-round athlete to have continued in rugby. He chose the harder, stranger road instead. At 18, he moved to Mexico, chasing a relationship rather than a career. He modeled, walked in fashion shows, and drifted into small local film roles almost by accident. None of it was the plan. The plan, the only one he had ever really held, was to become an action star like the men on the posters in his childhood bedroom. So he moved to Los Angeles and started at the bottom of it. In LA, he washed dishes and taught kickboxing to pay rent while he waited for a door. The door came from a gym, not a studio. A stunt coordinator named Andy Cheng, a member of Jackie Chan's stunt team, saw him train and asked if he wanted to do stunts. Cheng cast him as Dwayne Johnson's double on The Rundown, and then fought to keep him on the production when a visa problem nearly ended it before it started. That is the job from the opening of this story. The 55-foot fall, the Taurus Award, doubling the man who was about to become the most bankable star on earth. It was the break every stunt performer dreams about, and it put Zaror inside the Hollywood machine at exactly the right moment, with exactly the right skills, at 24 years old. What he did next is the decision that quietly shaped the rest of his career. He took the money and left the country. While Hollywood was the obvious place to stay, Zaror went home to Chile to build something that did not exist. He and his childhood friend, the director Ernesto Diaz Espinosa, decided to make a martial arts movie in a country that had never produced one. There was no stunt team to hire, so they assembled and trained one from nothing. There were no investors who understood the genre, so they had to be convinced. Insurance companies had no framework for what the production even was. The result in 2006 was Kiltro. It is widely regarded as the first Latin American martial arts film to earn a theatrical release. He followed it with Mirage Man, a raw take on a real-life superhero, and then Mandrill, a slicker spy riff. He starred, produced, and directed the action on all of them. These were full features, built by a small crew inventing a national genre in real time. The films traveled, they premiered at Fantastic Fest in Austin, and the American distributor Magnolia picked them up for release. One influential Austin critic wrote, "In effect, remember this name, because a year from now, everyone will know it." Magnolia was betting the same way. That prediction is the hinge of the whole story. It was right about the talent and wrong about the outcome. His breakout films were in Spanish, made in Chile, released through the independent genre pipeline that reaches critics and superfans, but not the mass audience that manufactures a star. A young American doing the same work would have been fast-tracked into studio meetings. Zaror was doing it from outside every system that hands those meetings out, in a language the mainstream market treats as a subtitle. He had chosen authorship over access, and he paid for that ownership in reach. The trade set up the lowest moment of his career, the one where he nearly walked away from movies entirely and put on 4-ounce gloves instead. Around the start of the 2010s, the momentum stalled and then curdled. By his own account, a business partnership tied to his films went badly wrong, and Zaror seriously considered quitting the film business altogether to reinvent himself as a professional mixed martial arts fighter. Sit with how strange that is. One of the most complete screen martial artists of his generation, co-signed by Scott Adkins and courted by a Hollywood distributor, was ready to stop performing and start fighting for money in a cage, not as a stunt, as a career. What pulled him back was a phone call from Robert Rodriguez. The director had seen Mandrill at Fantastic Fest years earlier, remembered the man in it, and wrote a role specifically for him in the 2013 sequel Machete Kills. The character was even named Zaror. Rodriguez has said plainly that he had been a fan for years and built the part around him, praising what he called physics-defying speed and agility and a real movie star presence. That is the strange shape of this career in a single exchange. The recognition Zaror could not pull from the system arrived instead as personal loyalty from individual artists who had seen his Chilean films and never forgot them. The rescue worked, and it pointed him toward the next 10 years. For that decade, he was the most dangerous man in other people's movies. He returned to Rodriguez for the From Dusk Till Dawn series as the enforcer Zolo, and again for Alita, Battle Angel, playing a cyborg in one of the most expensive action films of its year. He reunited with Adkins for Savage Dog. He carried his own Chilean feature Redeemer for the fans who already knew him, and put his body into studio stunt work on films like Gemini Man. Every job proved he could do things almost no one else on the call sheet could. Outside the films he built himself, though, the roles all shared the same shape: a supporting threat, the man who tests the hero and loses. That was the ceiling. It took a single strange year to crack it. That year was 2023, and it handed Zaror two opposite prizes at once. The first was Fist of the Condor, his fifth film with Ernesto Diaz Espinosa. He played twin brothers on opposite sides of a fight over a sacred manual, produced it, choreographed it, and built an entire original style for it, the Condor, modeled on animal kung fu and named for the national bird of Chile. His mother, the first female karate black belt in Chile, appeared as a martial arts master. It was authorship at its purest, the thing he had chosen back in 2006. The second prize was John Wick, Chapter 4, a global studio franchise, a 9-figure box office, a role-fighting Keanu Reeves, Donnie Yen, and Hiroyuki Sanada at the center of the action world. 20 years after doubling The Rock as an anonymous body falling off a cliff, Zaror stood in the frame as himself, named and seen, trading blows with the biggest action star of the moment. The callback is almost too clean. The stunt double who left Hollywood to build his own cinema came back at 44 and claimed a marquee fight in the most respected action series of its era. The catch is in the size of the part. Chidi is a supporting villain, the henchman audiences are meant to enjoy hating, and the film kills him off before the finale. He was, at last, in the room where stars are made. He was in it as the man who loses to the star. What he had never been handed was the machine that turns exposure into a career. So he did what he had always done. He went out and built the next chapter himself. John Wick did not make Marko Zaror a star overnight. What it did was open the busiest stretch of his career. In the 2 years after Chapter 4, he became the villain international action kept reaching for. He turned up in the Dave Bautista comedy The Killer's Game, then battered Josh Hartnett in the action thriller Fight or Flight, a film some critics called the best pure action movie of its year. Then came Diablo, his 6th collaboration with Ernesto Diaz-Espinosa, and another reunion with Scott Adkins, this time with Zaror as the antagonist. He played El Corvo, a one-handed assassin built from the Terminator and No Country for Old Men, and reviewers who had watched him for 20 years called it the best villain work of his life. He had become, without argument, one of the most respected bad guys in the business. And then, in 2025, he stopped being the bad guy. Affinity gave Zaror his first leading role in an English-language film. He plays Bruno, a former soldier hiding from his own past in Thailand. True to everything that came before, he did not wait to be handed it. He co-wrote the story, co-wrote the script with his mother, choreographed the action, produced it, and carried it as the lead with his longtime Chilean collaborators behind the camera. The exposure came from Hollywood. The vehicle, he built himself. Zaror is 48 now, still training like an Olympic athlete, still making his own films on his own terms. The Rock's old double never got the machine. He kept proving, decade after decade, that he never actually needed it.